I believe in honesty, especially now, in what will be your final moments in this world. All the rumors, the human sacrifices, the hell portal, the demons. It's all true. My sisters and brothers, be thankful. You will be the first. You will have a seat alongside them, just as I will, in what will become the new world that they create for us. Starting now.
Doom was released worldwide on May 13th in 2016 on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. The first-person shooter was developed by id Software and published by Bethesda Softworks. id Software is responsible for such games as 1992's Wolfenstein 3D, 1993's Doom, and 1996's Quake. Bethesda Softworks is well known for their recently released Prey, Fallout 4, and Wolfenstein: The New Order. The following review is based on the PlayStation 4 version, and the footage you are seeing was captured on the PlayStation 4 Pro via an Elgato. Doom begins by immediately tossing you into the fray. You awake, chained to a table made of stone. As you try to figure out the situation, you notice a bloody corpse walking towards you. Without thinking twice, you rip yourself free from your bondage and absolutely obliterate the demonic corpse. Luckily, in the next room you see something you've never seen before, but it's something familiar. It feels like it's yours, so you take it. You put on the suit and immediately put yourself to the test, fighting a horde of demonic zombies and these bony hellfire-throwing lizard humanoids. And in that instant, you realize nothing really matters. You're just there to spill blood and stop the threat of hell taking over our reality. No big deal. Alright, so let's dive right into this bloody beauty. For starters, when I say no big deal, I legitimately mean no big deal. So the overall premise is that there's this big research facility on Mars called the UAC. The UAC is being led by Samuel Hayden, a doctor who pulled a Chappie by putting his mind into an android because his human body was dying. The whole reason they're up there is to solve the energy crisis on Earth, so researchers found a way to siphon Hell's energy and use it for themselves. Obviously, in doing so, they ended up taking a lot more from Hell than just the energy they needed. They brought back artifacts and live specimens to research. One of the scientists, Dr. Olivia Pierce, ended up making a deal with certain demons and essentially allowed them to enter our reality and wreak havoc on the space station. In one of the artifacts that Director Hayden brought back was you, the Doomslayer. So in order to save whatever is left and to close the portal to Hell, he awakens you. The game begins with you waking up, and from there you just start running and gunning demons down. The story is incredibly simple from the get-go, and all the exposition I just mentioned is learned as you traverse both the facility and Hell. None of it matters because your only objective is to just close the portal and kill anything that gets in your way. It is honestly that simple. However, simplicity is the point. But just because something is simple doesn't mean it has to be coherent. Doom is coherent though. I was never confused, nor did I ever really feel the need to question anything. For example, Doomslayer/Doomguy's motivations were never unclear. He was created for one purpose, to fight demons. There are no ifs, buts, hows, or whys. This also translates into the player's identity as the Doomslayer as well. There is no characterization for Dr. Samuel or Dr. Olivia because we aren't supposed to care. Doomslayer/Doomguy/the player is just essentially a janitor. He sees blood, puke, and shit on the floor of a Dodger Stadium bathroom, The who, what, and why, and how means fuck all to him. He's just there to clean it up. And that's all you're doing in this game. I don't care what you were doing, what you were trying to save or learn, nor do I even care about helping you salvage anything. I'm only here to fix this. The overall story is very cliche, with a group of scientists doing something they know is risky, hoping to do it for the good of mankind, only to do the complete opposite. For a game like this, though, it doesn't matter. It makes sense and it sets up the world of Doom pretty well. In the same vein as Just Cause 3, Doom is an action-oriented game, so the story takes a back seat. So with one-dimensional characters and a really simple story, some of you might ask, okay, what about the writing, the dialogue? The crazy thing is that there really isn't any dialogue. Doomslayer doesn't utter a single word throughout the entire game. He doesn't need to, mind you. His actions personify him more than his words ever could. Every other character speaks, but it's usually less of a dialogue and more of a monologue, with a command preceding the monologue or following it.
I feel I should apologize for what's happened here. Some of my employees took things too far. Olivia was the cause of all this, and I believe you will have to deal with her in time. You may not agree with our research, but know this. We exploited Hell and its resources because it was in mankind's best interest to do so. What you now see in this facility is the cost of progress.
This isn't a bad thing. It amplifies the simple yet effective aspect of Doom. Every word uttered to you may not make a difference in your journey, but it is at least always relevant. Doom looks great. It really reminds me of the most recent Wolfenstein game, The New Order, because it goes for a certain degree of realism with hints of exaggeration in all the right places. However, looking great doesn't always mean memorable. One of my complaints during Prey is that space locations tend to always look the same. Doom takes place on the science research facility on Mars, and it's exactly how you'd imagine it to be. Rounded edges, white testing labs, long hallways with fluorescent lighting, and the other half that's just dark corridors and areas lined by pipes and the occasional maintenance room with a really big single window. When you're not on Mars inside the facility, you're in Hell. Hell looks almost like the Grand Canyon if it was littered with skulls, torches, and the occasional relic. It's a very rocky, cavernous terrain that has a hint of sunset red. Towards the latter half of your fight throughout Hell, you go inside these demonic stone temples, which really aren't special in any way. My point is that once you beat the game, you won't have any memories of a single location because of that location itself. The level design is good. If you boiled it down to its most simplest form, it's just a series of arenas where you fight waves of demons. However, that's not to forget the little details in every area. There aren't really shortcuts or different ways to enter areas. However, there are areas you can access that are just extremely easy to miss. These areas have armor, health, and collectibles. Does finding these areas help you? Yeah, sometimes. Is it vital? Definitely not. Considering how bare bones my first playthrough of Doom was without these collectibles and the like, I can easily attest to that. However, when you find these secret areas, there is an immediate gratification with, "You found a secret area" message. I did find a secret area, didn't I? Yes, I did. The character designs of the demons are fantastic. There's not really much to say to that because you can see for yourself. The audio is great. My highest praise has to go to the music. Composer Mick Gordon did an incredible job with the music. While you're quietly wandering around, the music is non-existent, but once you enter an arena and that music kicks in, you can't help but get extremely pumped. I don't like that they don't reveal or list their specific sources, but if they are to be trusted, a recent Did You Know Gaming episode on Doom revealed one of the songs was made using the sounds of chainsaws. It doesn't get any more metal than that. The voice acting was good, but they were just lines that delivered exposition, and a command, and most of the lines were from robots, so there's only so much that anyone could have done. The guns all sound different from one another, but I mean, as they should, considering how dramatically different each weapon is from one another. A shotgun blast best sound different from a machine gun, and a machine gun best sound different from a pulse cannon. So like I mentioned, by being so simple and by your character so purposefully just cleaning up the mess without caring about the who, what, why, or how, it's a blatant message to the player. Just kill the demons and close the portal. Doom emphasizes on gameplay more than anything, and when it comes to gameplay, Doom excels. Doom is a fast action-paced, first-person shooter. In the past, Wolfenstein and Doom were known for their no-holds-barred fast pace, and for both veterans and newcomers like myself, I think the new Doom lives up to the original. In Doom, there is no cover system, there is no sprinting, and crouching is only useful when getting into small areas. Crouching is useless during a fight. You are just always moving super fast, and I suspect you'll do more jumping here than you ever have before in a first-person shooter. Without a proper cover system and the default moving speed, and even enemies teleporting into the arenas from hell, you are encouraged to constantly keep moving. Even more so when you execute enemies, they release health, so you're not only encouraged to keep moving, but to get close to your enemies. With such a colorful cast of demonic enemies, it also forces you to adapt. Some enemies will make it their life goal to hurt you with a melee attack. Others will climb and throw projectiles at you. Some will have jetpacks. Others will constantly hover over you. Some will remain mostly stationary but will attack you with a ground pound if you try to get too close. Make no mistake, sometimes the game will throw all of these enemies at once and seriously test your limits and skills, even on easy mode. Just like the story, the gameplay and controls are very simple. Within the first 10 minutes, you have to be pretty clear with the controls. Within the hour, if not less, you should not only be clear, but absolutely confident. Something I noticed about the gameplay is that it's difficult to play in long sessions without starting to feel the boredom that comes from indifference. You can only get hyped for so long by the action before you get numb. There are little ways to extend and better your gameplay with combat goals, collectibles, and upgrades. While these make you stronger, faster, or improve your overall experience, they're not reasons to actively keep playing. In other words, when you're fed up at the moment, these won't be reasons to truck through, nor will they be the reason to come back to the game. While the gameplay is fun and while certain collectibles help my experience, it's just that its repetitive nature becomes Doom's worst enemy. In saying so, that becomes a double-edged sword because that's the essence of Doom, and that's what makes it so good. At first you're empowered, but that empowerment becomes indifference, and while it's a great way to really enter the shoes of the Doomslayer, for some people like myself, I tend to see indifference as the quickest way to boredom. With a simple story, effective characterization, and simple gameplay that requires little to no thought, Doom is the perfect game to play when you need to de-stress or you have nothing to do. The multiplayer feels like a cheaper version of the great single-player campaign, so there's not much to do when you beat the campaign. I beat this game when it first came out, and I played it again for this review in August 2017. Considering how fun and mindless it is, I do see myself coming back to it in a few months or maybe a year. Would I recommend this game for the $60 price tag that I got it for? Probably not, but at this moment the game has dropped in price and gone on sale, and for any price below the full price is absolutely worth it. If you like first-person shooters, I definitely recommend this game. If first-person shooters is not your cup of tea, or you prefer a strong narrative, Doom is definitely not the game for you. From me, Doom gets an 8. Out of 10.